Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at a camera that is upside down and back to front, the Balda Baldessa. Roll the intro. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Andrew. I love oddball cameras, vintage cameras, just playing around with them, and today we're going to look at one of the cameras that I find really interesting. These days when you look at a camera, the basic layout, it hasn't really changed that much. It hasn't changed in probably 50 years, but before that there were lots of different ideas on how a camera layout should be, and this Balda Baldessa is a classic example of let's do things that are just totally different to what anybody else has done. So where do we start? The first thing is, it's a little rangefinder camera, very small, beautiful little camera. A little bit of history about the company. Balda was created in 1908 in Dresden. They produced cameras all the way through till World War II. When they obviously went into military production for things during the war. Following the war, the creator of the company fled from East Germany to West Germany. The company that he left behind eventually merged through various things to become part of the Pentagon group. So if you're familiar with old vintage cameras, Pentacons are really quite a famous name. Anyway, he moved to West Germany, began producing cameras again. This is one of the cameras that he produced. This is a Baldessa 1A. It's a 1A because the original one did not have a rangefinder. This one does, so it's the second model. Produced about 1958, so this camera is well over 60 years old. Looking at it, initially it doesn't look too different, but the first thing you notice is the top of the camera. All you've got is a cold shoe mount here. There's nowhere to wind the film until you turn the camera over, and the first thing you might look at is go, oh, that looks like a winder there, but the reality is the winder's actually there. It turns 180 degrees every time you want to wind the film. Underneath it there's a very small little wheel which has the film counter on it, and you have to set that. When you load the film, you set it to a number and then it counts down. On the other side, this is actually a film rewind. You move this little lever here, pops out, and you rewind your film. There's film in the camera at the moment, so I'm not going to do that. Coming around to the front, you look at the lens and it's like, well, how do I focus the lens? I can't see anywhere to focus it on it. It's got a Prontor shutter, which is like classic for the period. It's got a 45mm 2.8 lens. I haven't used the camera yet, but I'm really hopeful that it should have nice quality. It's a German lens. German optics are fairly highly rated. So how do we focus? Little knob here. It actually causes the lens to move in and out, and this is how you focus the camera. So again, no knob on the no focusing knob on the camera. It's a wheel here, and having used this a little bit, it is quite interesting to use. It's not entirely doesn't feel entirely comfortable. You tend to want to move the lens, but that's how that works. The shutter and the aperture are on wheels around the camera. Hopefully we can see that. Hopefully the camera focuses on that. They move independently as long as you hold this little tiny wee lever here. You can then move the lens, so change your aperture independently and your shutter speed. If you don't, they actually move together, so you can basically set a shutter speed and an aperture, take a reading, get a light meeting, but then say you're on 1/25th of a second and f11, you can also go to 60th of a second and f16. It locks the two together, and you you can change. So if you want to change a faster shutter speed and a smaller aperture, that sort of thing, you don't have to remeter your light. You get a different reading. Anyway, that's the Balda Baldessa. We've got a roll of Kentmere 100 in here at the moment. We're just doing a bit of a photo walk at the moment, just around a little park here, and there's a couple of other buildings over there. Might go and take some photos, post some images, and then come back and give my final thoughts on it once I see the result. So have a look at the images. I might put some footage in here of me wandering around. Other than that, I'll come back afterwards and give my final thoughts on it. I'll catch you later. So what are my thoughts on the Balda Baldessa? Having gone out, put a roll of film through it, you would have seen by now some of the images that I got. It's a lovely little camera to use. It's solid, it focused beautifully. The quality of the images was quite surprisingly good. It's the lens is nothing special, but just a really nice, easy to use camera. The only drama I had was when I came to rewind the film. I set it, you pull the lever across, wind the arm out, wind it. For some reason it just wouldn't rewind the film. So I had to pull out every vintage camera enthusiast must-have item, the film change bag. Dropped the camera into the bag and was able to take the back off. I honestly can't tell whether it was a problem with the camera or with the film canister. Even once I got the canister out, winding the film back in was quite tight, so maybe there was a problem with the canister or not. I don't know. I'll give the camera another try, and hopefully we don't have that problem again. But apart from like the focusing, it's weird. As I say, the camera's upside down back to front, and things are not in the place. But it's one of the things I like about vintage cameras. This camera comes from a time when the actual layout of cameras and how they were set up wasn't set in stone. A few years after this, things like the Pentax Spotmatic came out, and ever since then, those cameras, they look the same. You can buy the latest mirrorless camera and it's not physically much different in terms of layout to those cameras that are 50, 60 years old. This, you won't find anything that looks anything like this in terms of the way it's set up. And that's just fun. That's something nice. And again, this camera cost me, I think, 75 bucks Australian, so it was cheap as. It's built like a tank. I can imagine this camera being around for another 100 years and still working fine. So I'd put it on, like if you were looking to start a collection or add to your collection, a nice little camera to pick up. They're fairly plentiful. I didn't have any trouble finding one. So that's my thoughts. You want to leave a comment if you've used one, if you'd like to get one, leave a comment below and we'll have a bit of a talk about it. But until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.